I'm Corbett Wall with DB Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, May the 12th, brought to you in part by the new Nasalgen, Bovolus Nasalgen 3 PMH. It's the first and only intranasal vaccine with both viral and bacterial protection to effectively protect cattle against IBR, BRSV, PI3, Pasteurella, and Manhemia. Visit unmatchedprotection.com for more information. Grain reports, we've got some big ones coming up here today on Thursday, and it's going to happen before the board closes. So the WASDE report, the World Ag Supply and Demand estimates will be coming out at noon Eastern, so 11 o'clock Central there, guys. And that's going to be a big one. We got crop production coming out, but we're going to find out whether or not we've stole any acres planted back from beans over to the corn, or if it went more towards the beans. I think early in the last month or so we thought that maybe corn was going to steal some of your acres back from the beans, but then maybe the last couple of weeks it stayed pretty cool up in the northern plains and the Midwest. Maybe we didn't, and then maybe we even more towards the beans, but it's going to be a big deal to find out. The biggest deal on that WASDE report, we're going to get the world ending stocks. And with the Ukraine being in such a mess over there and not being able to get any of their grain out for export, and you know, a lot of countries that are looking to that to feed their people, they're afraid that they're going to be not only short of food, but they're going to starve. And how is all this, coming into play with our world-ending stocks? And that's big because it's, grain is definitely a global product. So we're looking at those grain reports, see what the crop production's like, see what our usage has been like, and whatever happens, whatever effect it has on our grain markets. Of course, your feeder cattle are going to be exact opposite, and then likely drag your live cattle along with them. So keep your ear to the ground and be listening to the radio and looking at your websites and seeing what goes on here today on Thursday about your grain reports. But we were still terribly, terribly dry. It tried to rain down in the Texas Panhandle, did get some spotty moisture. Of course, it came along with some pretty destructive storms and some more hail there, but not a lot of rain in the Amarillo area there. Just kind of had a big bark and not much bite to it. But you get over west in New Mexico and they are still terrible, terrible shape there. New Mexico is in the middle of its worst drought in at least 500 years. Just soak that in a little bit. That Hermits Peak Calf Canyon fire that started out over there around Ruidoso, New Mexico, has never really gotten under control. I think they've got it about a third contained, but then the dry conditions persist, low humidity and high winds, they just can't keep it. And it's traveled up through that canyon there, burned over 237,000 acres. And and that's historical ground there, and it's taken out a lot of ranches and a lot of homes and things there. But now it's getting in and threatening the Eagle's Nest and Taos areas up there in northern New Mexico. So that's a really scary deal, and I don't see how in the world they plan on getting that put out. And it doesn't look like the drought's going to let up anytime soon there. But let's talk about your board. On Wednesday, June live cattle futures up $1.17 at 133.57, so pretty much gained back what it lost on Tuesday there. August was up 55 cents, closing at 134.65. Your back months on your live cattle down 12 cents to up 55 cents. Feeder cattle for May down 77 as your grains were higher again at 158.15. August down $1.85. Ending the session at 170 even. Go on your back months on feeder cattle, they were down 35 cents to down, that was on the farthest out. Closer up on your back months, it was down as much as 177. Your grain's kind of preparing for those reports, and then they're preparing for the grains to be bullish to the grain market. Corn was up 13.25 cents at 788.5 to end regular trading there. Beans up 14.5 cents at 1606.75. Kansas City hard red winter wheat up 25.5 cents per bushel, ending regular trading at $12.50 a bushel. So don't know if somebody's peaked or what the expectations are there for, but doesn't really look as to what those traders were thinking on the grain it's going to be any good for cattle, but we'll just have to see what they come out to be. Your fat cattle trading continued on Wednesday, started out on Tuesday with a wide price range, continues with a wide price range on Wednesday. Colorado just 100 head confirmed at 143, Iowa 3,600 confirmed, and you know, I tell you what, I've never seen your packers so particular as to quality, especially on the old crop versus the new crop calves, that they don't want nearly as much as the old croppers that were put on feed as yearlings. But Iowa had some cattle, and they were listed in the 80% choice and better at 140.25. Had some cattle trade in between there, but your range in Iowa was 140.25 up to 147. That's definitely weaker and lower on your range, but more of the cattle are trading up closer to steady with last week. But dress sales 227 to 230, that's sure lower by a couple $3 there. Nebraska 7,300 head, and they've already traded almost 29,000 for the week, just up through Wednesday. Live sales in Nebraska from 143 to 146. Kansas 300 head, 13,700 head have traded in Kansas so far. As I told you, they were going to have more late trade there on Tuesday that we didn't get picked up, but they had live sales from 138 to mostly 140, and that's mostly steady with some weakness on there. Texas, another 2,300 head confirmed on Wednesday, and for the week 9,100, so getting close to what we consider robust trade in Texas there. But 137, we hadn't seen 137, that was just on a few, up to mostly 140, but another $10 range on Wednesday in your live direct trade in your 5-area feeding region. It was just a buck back of what it was on Tuesday, but like I said, I've never seen your packers so particular as to quality, and you would think that we had a $30 choice select spread in box beef cutout values, the way that they're really going after those old crop cattle and backing off of the calves, and really being particular there on your negotiated trade. But box beef cutout values are not really that way. They were just a little weaker. They're trying to find a bottom here and then make another run here going into the late spring and early summer. But choice cuts 255.08 down 16 cents. Selects 242.18 down 17. Choice select spread is $12.90 on Wednesday afternoon. Slaughter 371,000 harvested up through Wednesday. That's 8,000 more than last week, 20,000 more than the same week a year ago. Guys, hear me talk about your livestock risk protection policies, and I think that is really a good deal, especially for backgrounders. It may not meet all the needs of your cattle feeders because you can't really rely on a basis, because it meets up with cash. It settles with cash, not with the board, which your feeder cattle guys really like that. Not as much on your fed cattle guys because they always kind of plan on a pretty good basis there to stick in their pocket. But nonetheless, cow-calf producers can do it too, and you can lay off the risk protection on your calves. But you have to get a hold of somebody that knows what they're doing there, and Livestock Risk Services is one of the bigger outfits that handles those LRPs. They've got a lot of experience in that, and they know what they're doing. Doesn't cost a thing to call in and talk to them and visit about that. Tell them what your needs are, how this deal helps. The biggest help that I see in is if you are indeed protecting cattle and hedging cattle, and you can prove that, you turn in your invoices there, then you can get the government to pitch in as little as 35% and as much as over half of what your premium is. Where are you going to find that, guys? That's really a good deal. But check out Livestock Risk Services. How about your feeder cattle market? Your real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Wednesday set at 155.55, down 48 cents, and a lot of pressure from your board being down there, but it is easing up a little bit. But I'm going to give you some really, really impressive quotes here late in this report. But your Beefmaster Performance Group has announced they're having a premium female sale at Red River there. They have that pretty much every year. It's going to be at Paris Livestock, and that's east of Paris, Texas there, right on the highway there. It's a nice facility. They're a DV auction customer. The BPG, Beefmaster Performance Group, Red River sale is going to be on DV auction. It's going to be Saturday, May the 21st. They've got about 80 head of really premium Beefmaster Performance females for sale on there. If you want more information, get a hold of Robert Scott there. Met him at one of the previous sales. Really nice guy. Knows a lot about what's going on, especially you get over there to East Texas and the sultry heat that they have there, and like places you want to get in on some of those really premium quality Beefmaster females. Let's talk about some of your big feeder cattle auctions on Wednesday. OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma, 7,800 for this week's sale. Feeders steady to $2 lower. Steer calves were $2 to $6 lower, but they did make comment that they didn't have as fancy calves as what they did at the previous sale. Heifer calves were steady and a light test. Winter livestock, Dodge City, Kansas, 2,100 head there. Very uneven in the trend, and I was just looking at your federal state market report. As I've mentioned before, those Kansas market reporters do a very poor job. I mean, they've got huge double-digit trends going in each direction on different classes, and it's just hard to make heads or tails of, and they don't explain it. If indeed it's true that it needs explained, and they don't explain it on there, and we've really lost a lot of professionalism in your federal state market reports, and there's only a few that really even know what they're doing. But at Dodge City sale, they did have a stick-out deal, and I can even give you that. How about 64 head, 838-pound steers at $158? Had a big sale at Stockman's Livestock in Yankton, South Dakota. Greg Ryken does such a good job there. He has the best fed cattle auction, brick and mortar sale in the United States. And I tell you what, his feeder cattle sale is close, close behind, if it's not top also. But they had 3,500 head there. And you look at this automated market report from there, and man, they had a good test and all your bigger calves and yearlings there. Look at some of your steer quotes there. 567 head of 6-weight steers in Yankton, South Dakota. They averaged $649 with a weighted average price of $186.99. Wow, well, you look, and that included 196 head in one swath, weighed $621 at $194, and 84 head of 683-pound stocker steers at $193.50. Wow, unbelievable prices. How about 529 head of your 8-weight steers, averaged $853 at $157.03. 285 head of 9-weight steers, averaged $962 at $150.87. Your biggest heifer quote was on 8-weight heifers. They had 466 head of your 8-weight heifers, averaging $835 with a weighted average price of $142.56. Some individual quotes. How about Texhoma Livestock Exchange in Texhoma, Oklahoma? That's on the western end of no man's land in the Oklahoma Panhandle. How about 70 home-raised heifers from Robert Lee in Guyman, Oklahoma, weighed 946 pounds at $136. Another stick-out deal at Yankton was 111 head, 824-pound steers at $170.25. And the best quote that I saw anywhere on Wednesday come out of Bassett Livestock Auction in Bassett, Nebraska. 105 head, 453 pound steer calves at $245.75. Makes you think about 2014, don't it? That's your feeder flash for Thursday.